What's up, strikers, and welcome to the Sharp Corner, YouTube's only channel that consistently produces Mario Strikers Battle League online gameplay competitive footage as well as other videos. As the name of this video suggests, today we're talking about gear builds. Now, I'm sure that you've seen other YouTube videos out there that talk about gear builds. Here's the particular equipment that you should put on this specific player for this particular reason. And those are great videos. I find them extremely helpful. But today we're going to go a little bit deeper. We're not just going to talk about what gear you should put on a particular player. We're also going to talk about why. And to do that, we got to lay some groundwork first. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about specific positions. Aside from the captain, what are the other positions on your team? Then we're going to talk about the formation. This is how those people in those positions, those characters and your players in that position, how they are arranged on the field at any one given time. Then I'm going to tie that all into how I outfit my players and my team based on their positions and based on the formation on the field. And finally, I'm just going to give you a few closing thoughts on how to build your team and how to select gear and how to equip each individual character, based on my philosophy. There's one particular tip that I'm going to give you at the end of this video, which I hope will be particularly helpful in terms of equipping your team for success. So please stick around for that, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Okay, now before we can get into gear builds, first thing I want to do is I want to talk about positions. So take a look at this picture. Now, everybody's familiar with the very first player on your team. This is your captain. That's how it's named in the game. Now, the problem is the other three positions, they're not given names. It's just your second, third, and fourth selection. So for the sake of this video, I want to define these positions. I want to name them so you know what I'm talking about as I go through talking about gear builds. So players 2 and 3, they're very similar, pretty much interchangeable. I call them the wings. They're the players who are on the left-hand side of the captain and on the right-hand side of the captain. And then finally, you have your fourth player who's closest to your goal and also farthest away from your opponent's goal. And I call this person the anchor. So there you have it. Those are the names of the positions. You got the captain, you got the wings, and you got the anchor. With that, we can move on to the next part of the video where we talk about formations. All right, now that we've talked about positions, I want to move on to talk about the formation. This is where you're going to find your players on the field at any given time. Take a look at this still photo. Now this is sort of the formation or the positions that you'll find your players in right at the start of the game or after a goal has scored. And what we see here is we got Bowser up front in the captain position, we've got Toad and Peach in the wing positions, and we've got Donkey Kong in the back in the anchor position. Now what we need to notice here is that as play continues and as play commences, your players are more or less going to try to maintain this diamond shape / square formation throughout gameplay. So let's do a little bit of gameplay so you can see that. So here's an example of that. So we got Bowser with the ball, and he's going to stay in the middle, and who stays to the left? Toad and Peach. If I give the ball down here to Peach, we notice that the formation is being maintained. We've got that square going on. This is also why tackling is so important, because it disrupts this formation. If I give the ball back here to Donkey and he's back here in the anchor position, what happens? The formation remains in place. Now, of course, during gameplay, things get crazy, right? Things get wild. Rarely are people going to stay in their respective positions. But by getting a general idea and sense of this formation, that they maintain that square and diamond shape, you'll have a good idea as to where your players are at any given time. And when you know where your players are, you know how they should be equipped. And when you know how they should be equipped because they're serving in a particular job, maybe their job is shooting, maybe their job is defense, maybe their job is passing. Because you know where they are on the field at any given time, you know how to equip them properly to get the best possible performance. Okay, now that we have defined and understand positions, now that we've talked about the formation, now we can talk about gear. So your captain, this is the person who normally starts at midfield. This is the person who's going to be inclined to go closest to the goal. So for my captain, I like Bowser. At least that's who I'm using right now. I want someone who can lay a hit on the opposing captain at the start of every kickoff. I want someone who has good shooting in order to put the ball in the goal. So for Bowser, what I've equipped him with is he's got the turbo helmet, he's got the knight gauntlets, he's got the muscle chest, and he's got the Bushido sandals. And you can see he's pretty strong, he's got good speed, he's got good shooting. Next, we've got the wing positions. These are the people who are on the left and right hand side of the captain. For my wing positions, again, currently in this team, is Peach and Toad. These positions are probably the most versatile in the game, and you see people change this up a lot. Some people want those who serve in the wing position to be very offensive, fast and have good passing and have good shooting. And that's kind of what I go for. Other people, they set people in those positions to be more on the defensive end. Good examples of that, are Waluigi, Wario sometimes, but sometimes people try to go for something a little bit of both. Bowser Jr. is a great example of that. He's strong, he's got good speed, he's got good passing. Same thing for Pauline. But again, for my wing positions, I like Peach and I like Toad. Reason being, they've got good shooting and they've got good passing. So for Peach, I've got the barrel helmet, I've got turbo gloves, I've got the chain plate, and I've got the Bushido sandals. And you can see she's ridiculously fast with speed of 24, decent shooting with shooting of 10 and passing 15. For Toad, not too different. Speed is 22 and passing is 19. His shooting's a little bit better. His passing's a little bit better. Not quite as fast. But for him, I've got the barrel helmet, I've got the turbo gloves, I've got the chain plate, and I've got the shellfish boots. And again, the idea with these two positions is that we want them fast, we want them to score goals, and we also want them to be really good at passing. Finally, we've got Donkey Kong in the anchor position. Now this is a person who I'm not really concerned about with shooting, because if you maintain the formation, he's going to stay closest to your goal. So his job is to do what? To be a defender. So I want strength, I want speed, and when he brings the ball out, I also want him to have good passing to set other people up to make plays and score goals. So for Donkey Kong, we've got the turbo helmet, we've got the shellfish gauntlets, we've got the muscle chest, and we've got the Bushido sandals. So I understand what position they're supposed to serve in, so I equip them accordingly, and I know the formation, where they're going to be at any given time. So the idea is, by knowing what position they're assigned to, knowing where they're going to be on the field, I equip them accordingly to get the best possible performance. Okay, so here's my closing thoughts when it comes to gear build and gear selection. First thing, a lot of the gear build has to do with playstyle. Some people go for a more defensive playstyle, some people go for a more offensive playstyle. So everything I've talked about in this video, I've watched a lot of players do the exact opposite and go with the contrary, and it still works out great for them. I've gone against players who have had Diddy Kong serve in the anchor position, and they still play great. So a lot of it really kind of comes down to playstyle. One suggestion I would have is make sure you play enough strikers to get enough gold so that you can buy all the gear. You want to have as many options as possible so that you can find a team that matches your playstyle. So by all means, get all the gear so that you can have as many options available to you as possible. Now, there's a lot of people who have posted videos who have said, this is the best possible build that you can get for this particular character. I don't really buy into that because, again, what I think it does come down to is play style. And I know there's a lot of players out there that they're looking for the meta build. What are the best characters to use, and what are the best positions to put them in, and what's the best gear to outfit them with. Now, although I think you can get a lot of great results by picking good players and equipping them accordingly, there is no meta build, and it's for this reason. And this is going back to the tip that I mentioned at the very beginning of the video that I was saving for right now, and it's this. Skill will always beat gear builds. I've gone against some phenomenal players who will go with characters that have no gear equipped on them whatsoever, and they have played phenomenally. They're great at passing, they're great at breaking ankles, they're great at dodging, they're great at shooting. They've just got such a solid grasp on the fundamentals that they don't need the gear. So although gear will help you when it comes to playing, let me make it clear. Getting better at the game and increasing your skill is going to go a lot further than whatever gear you can put on a character. So I hope this has been a helpful guide. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below if you think I'm right on or I'm way off. But nonetheless, I hope you found this gear guide to be helpful. And next video, we're going to test some of this gear and get back into some competitive online gameplay.